So let's pray as we start today's sessions. God, we are grateful, and we pray that tonight as we continue to engage on issues of leadership, Lord, continue speaking to us, continue strengthening us, continue enlightening us, oh God, so that, Lord, whatever we learn, we'll be able to reflect in our hearts, in our actions, in our minds, and in our leadership in general. We trust you even for these discussions. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, so we will be moving on today to lesson 5 and 6, very, very important lessons. As we noted, level 1 is just laying the foundation. And whatever we discuss in level 1 is really important when we'll be getting into level 2 and level 3, where now we'll focus on the core issues of leadership like vision, strategy, amongst others. But I think this is very important just to lay the foundation. And also part of self-awareness is critical because it gives us that authentic leadership. Yesterday I was having a session with some students of one college it's a Bible college, but they have different courses. So we were having the same discussion on issues of leadership. And I think one thing that came out very clear from our discussion and from their own experience is the gaps they're having at their workplaces, in different forms of leadership, where we have people who are well skilled in terms of technical, just the way we were discussing last time. But again, when now it comes to issues of soft skills and people who are able to lead effectively, relate, connect, and also just be able to hear people out and connect with the people, it becomes a challenge. Personally, I've also seen that in different forums. So I think this engagement is really important, just to be able to see how do we bridge this gap. Even if we'll help one person out, that person can also be able to share the message to another and another. So we'll be looking at part of self-awareness today. I sampled a few of weekly self-evaluation comments just to be able to see what is coming out from the participants. So these are some of the comments that we have received. Getting to learn a lot. And this person says, waiting to learn more. Leadership has no one definition. I agree with this because we look at different leadership definitions later on. Learning great concepts. Leadership is about doing the right thing. That's really true, being authentic. The lesson was good. It communicated life to me. That means there is connection. The space for GLN mandate and other similar program is the way to go, both now and in the coming days. Leadership is critical to the success and advancement of any venture, and thus it should be nurtured. These are wonderful comments, so that if there are issues that we need to take note of, then from the comments we're able to flash them out, and then we'll take the necessary action. So lesson 5, the 3 types of learning loops. This is a very interesting area because it gives us the different levels and also the different styles of learning and bringing it closer to leadership. There are those who at level 1, maybe they focus on what is required to be done. There are those who at level 2 who get into how, and there are those at level 3 who get into the why. So I'll expand on this. And as we do this, it's good to evaluate yourself and see where do you fall among these 3 learning loops. And to help us, there is an exercise here. I think we did this exercise again, but I think it's good to see how the results comes out now. How many triangles are you able to count? Now that you are the only one, I think we'll only have one answer. In a team, we normally see various answers, and we ask ourselves, are we seeing the same picture, and then we now look at what is the lesson behind this. So maybe you can just take a minute to look at what we have here. We try to count them out and see how many they are. So the triangles.
Yes, I have seen how many? 8.
8. Yeah, 8.
Yes, I've seen 8.
Wow. Last time we had a really big variation. We had the Tuesday class, we had 5 to 17. So, so it was between 5, there were 8, until 17, and it was like, wow, okay. So in actual sense, they are 24.
24, oh my.
Yeah. They are 24.
Okay.
You can see how they were unpacked until we were able to get to the 24, the different patterns. Yeah, so I know we are doing it on a hurry. We look at it, you have to count it fast. But I think with more, because sometimes I see people saying maybe 8, and then they look again. Someone changes to, oh, and now they are 11. And then someone goes back, oh, now they are 15. So I think the more we look at it, again, we are able to unpack it more. But I think the main thing here is, how is this exercise important for a leader? How does this help us as leaders? Is there something that we can pick from this this exercise that is helpful to us as leaders?
For me, I think this exercise helps you to know that there's no one way of looking at something. You can look at the same issue from different perspectives.
True.
So you cannot like assume what you have said or the perspective you're having is the only one, or that you have the only way out of a situation, because other people may see it differently from you. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, true. The perspectives are different. And again, nowadays we're talking about user innovation. User innovation is opposed to the closed innovation. Closed innovation, they come from maybe a particular team, maybe a research team, or even the boardroom. But now people are realizing that users have very good ideas, very nice ideas that can help a business to grow. So we are opening up to the users. So we listen more to the users and we're able to get ideas. And that's why you see even products now being customized to the need, to the user's need. So the perspectives, I think we are opening this more because we realize that people tend to look at things differently, and you might see something that you really wonder, wow, even this one could come from this same scenario or the same issue that probably all of us were looking at. So I totally agree. And when it comes to problem solving, this is also very handy so that we are able to get to the root cause. The root cause, because sometimes you might offer a solution, but have we addressed the root cause? Have we taken the time to be able to unpack the issue? On Monday, I was in a meeting and we were discussing a very critical issue. And I think I felt, I just remembered these triangles, and we had to slow down a little bit and maybe unpack the problem until we were able to get where is the real issue, so that we don't rush before we are able to get to the real issue. So this is critical in problem solving, and also, as you said, being able to get the different perspectives, appreciating the different perspectives, and also the patience, because I think you have to be very patient to be able to count all this. It requires some time just to unpack one by one until you're able to get the actual number. So the learning loops, this discussion came out in 2012 at Washington, D.C. Metro region. It was a leadership summit that actually came up with these ideas. Some of these concepts come from maybe some paper that have been presented. So from this, they were able to come up with these 3 categories of learning loops because a leader is a perpetual learner. And the key word here, always learning how to learn. Always learning how to learn. This becomes very important. And that is the ultimate of the learning loops. So the 3 categories, the first one is a single loop learning, which is about learning the rules. This just actually focusing on what am I supposed to learn. And then when I get what I'm supposed to learn, I move straight away to act. It doesn't allow space for a lot of questioning. It's sort of a closed mind or a closed loop or a closed way of thinking. But double loop learning is about changing the rules. So this one we graduate from just asking, what am I supposed to do? Or what am I learning from this? To probably, how is this important to me? Or how is this important to the scenario? Or how can I utilize this? How can I benefit from this? So it moves from just focusing on what, and we look at how. The key word here is how. For the triple loop learning is about learning how to learn. This is where organizations have become learning organizations. They're able to pick lessons. They're able to be in a learning continuous curve. And the key word here is why. So the question that keep on emerging for a triple loop learner is the question of why. Yeah. So single loop learning, the key word is what I'm supposed to understand, or the message I'm supposed to get. So it's more of one direction. Double learning loop, it's more of how. We now want to get into a practical aspect of looking at the benefit, and then we look at why. So as we expand this further, for the single learning loop, the focus is on doing things better without necessarily examining or challenging underlying beliefs and assumptions. Think of this like an iceberg. So we single loop learning tends to remain at the tip. It doesn't really go to the core of the iceberg. So we get what, and then we act on that. But this is not good enough because it doesn't really give us the whole story. If you listen to a leader of a single loop leader, the language is, as we can see there, are we doing things right? Here is what to do. These are the procedures or rules. It's more of like a directive kind of language. But for double loop, we change the way we make decisions and deepen understanding of our assumptions. This one now becomes a little bit inquisitive. We really want to challenge some assumptions. We are almost getting to the beliefs, but we are not yet there. So we have come from the tip. Now we are getting into the core, but really not to the very to the whole part of the core. What is the common language for this learning loop? Are we doing the right things? So we have come from, are we doing things in the right way? But we're asking, are we doing the right things? So we are trying to question even what probably we are doing. And I think this is how, even when you're learning something or reading something, we are also tending to question or to critique positively. Could this be looked at another way? Could we have another perspective from this scenario? So here is how this works. The how is important. These are the insights and patterns. Now we are getting into the insights and patterns, not just looking at the current, what is happening, but you're really going a little bit further behind to be able to see what has been happening so that we can connect the dots and see the message that is coming out. If we move further to the triple loop learning, the relationship between organization structure and behavior is fundamentally changed because the organization learns how to learn. Basically, here we are now at the core of the iceberg. We have moved down because what shapes the tip is what is happening under there. So we are looking at the culture, we are looking at the values, we are looking at the principles, because this is what determines what we see at the tip. How I'm able to benefit, how I'm able to learn is actually challenged by some of these issues that are very, very key to any transformative change. The common language for triple loop leader, how do we decide what is right? So we are actually questioning the very core of what we are doing. We're getting to not just asking, is this the right thing, but how do we actually decide what is right? Here is why we want to be doing things, to be doing this. And then these are the principles, these are the values. This is what determines determines or dictates why I'm doing things in this particular manner. So triple loop learning now gets to the really core of the iceberg. Now, from this, we can see some characteristics of these learning loops. For the triple loop learning is transformational, focuses on the context. Actually, it's disruptive in a way, because sometimes you find these leaders who finds something that tends to be working well, but they are thinking on how do we probably reinvent, how do we improve on whatever is working well. So it's transformational. It can be disruptive. Double loop learning is reframing. It focuses on structure. How do we restructure? Single loop learning is more reactionary. So it focuses on actions, based on actions without really expanding to the source of the actions and what informs the action. All of them are important, depending with the scenario. But again, I think getting into the triple loop learning, this is where now the leadership comes in very, very core, because we tend to always see what are the new improvements that we can bring on the table. Those are just a few, the 3 learning loops. But in terms of application, where can we apply this? We'll pick up just two cases, and one of the areas is in the problem solving. This can come in handy, but again, there are also other areas. Probably we can think through what are the other areas that we can apply these learning loops in our own personal development, in problem solving, amongst other areas, which I think we can make it open as part of our discussions tonight. But in problem solving, we can apply this. I'll pick 2, one, cause and effect, or fishbone problem solving technique. And we are saying this provides, it's a tool that provides us with an avenue to get to the root cause of the issue. Yeah. So it's a tool to identify all the possible causes of a problem, not just the obvious ones, not just the symptoms, but can we be able to get to the root of the issue? So it seeks to locate the root of the problem, and it's systematic. Remember how we counted those triangles? It had to be systematic until we're able to really get, this is a total number in a very systematic way. So the root cause analysis aims to answer the following questions: what happened? How did it happen? Why did it happen? And what solution can be developed? I think these are very important questions in any problem solving scenario. What happened? Okay, this is what happened. So how did it happen? Why did it happen? And then what solution can you propose? Or what solution can we adapt for this scenario? So for the fishbone, probably maybe some of you have interacted with this, but basically we have the problem at the mouth of the fishbone. We put the problem there. Then we come up with the causes, maybe cause 1, cause 2, cause 3. And then we also look at what are the sub causes. This now gives us the details. We are able to get into the details of the main cause. And through this, eventually, we are able to get to the root cause of the issue. Let's look at this example. Someone came late for work. Just a very basic example there. What are the possible causes? Possible causes. If you are the CEO and someone has come late to work, what are the possible causes? It can be people related, maybe children, or the person was demotivated, the person was tired, people oriented, the person himself or other people. It can also be machine oriented. What caused this person to come late for work? So maybe the alarm clock did not ring, or there was probably the car broke down, or any other causes that is machine oriented. Now, besides that, it can also be environment. Maybe there was traffic jam. Maybe there was a lot of rain, amongst others. So you see, if we unpack this, it gives us some more details. And in most cases, when we are discussing this, there's always one thing that normally comes out clear, that sometimes if you try to examine and analyze issues, we might realize that people that we punished maybe would have taken a different approach, especially if in a work-related scenario. Maybe we would have even tried to see how do we help this person, because we have been able to go deeper. Okay, the person just came to work too late. It could be directly, maybe if we don't invest enough time, a short course letter can be written or something. But listening critical to this person, we realize, wow, there is the person might be going through some challenge, and we need to be able to assist this person. And this is now what brings the shift from a manager to a leader, because as we'll see later on, the differences between these two people determines how they address issues. If this issue is being addressed by a manager will address it differently. If a leader is addressing this issue, again, a leader will address it differently. So I think as we'll be looking at that topic, we'll also revisit this to see how we can be able to connect the two. Now, the other method is the why, the 5 why, the 5 whys. This is also a problem-solving techniques. So if you're dealing with a problem, you are addressing a problem, not just a problem, it can also be an opportunity. It can be a project. It can be a conversation on any particular area. So to get to the root cause, or for the case of a problem, this method says you ask why 5 times. Ask why 5 times. I've tried this even with my own kids. Sometimes just to be able to see if maybe they did something, you try to ask 5, and then you realize, wow, there is something that I need to address. So think of it in different scenarios. So ask why 5 times. So you define the problem, you ask why for the first time until you get to the 5th time. And that can lead us to the root cause. We are able to get to the root cause. Okay. Okay, I can see George. George, I can see your message. You're saying I can't hear. Let me see. Just let me advise him to disconnect. And I think there was a problem with the network already. He's disconnected. Now, let's look at this example. Someone ran through a red light. So we ask the first why. Why? Okay, the person says, I was late for work. Then we ask why. Again, I woke up late. Why? My alarm clock broke. Okay, why? I didn't, or maybe the alarm clock didn't ring. We ask why again. I didn't check if it worked last night. We ask why again. Maybe I forgot to do it last night, or you can give another answer. So we continue until we are able to realize what was the root cause. And the issues might be the issues differ depending with the issue at hand. So I think these are just two examples, but we can think through where else can we apply the 5 whys and the fishbone. Personally, I've used this in my books writing, where I come up with a topic and then I am able to unpack it, and it gives me more ideas in terms of how I need to structure my books, and maybe probably in terms of what content I need to apply. So think about it in your context, and maybe you can point out maybe one scenario where you can be able to apply this method, from the learning loops all the way to the fishbone and also the 5 whys. So to climax this lesson, this gives us 3 levels of leadership. 3 levels of leadership: the what leader, the how leader, and the why leader. Again, where do I belong is important. For the what leader, we say this leader is reactionary. It focuses on performing or performance, is task or role driven. This leader also focuses on doing things right, not necessarily questioning if it's the right thing. Follows the rules, is more of static. And this is more inclined to a manager. If we are to weigh this leader, because again, a manager can be a leader. So if we are to look at the DNA of this person will be more of a manager than a leader. Sometimes these people they are placed in position of leadership, and we call them leaders. But if we examine them critically, we realize, wow, this person is more of a manager than a leader. Now, about the how leader, is reformative, strategizing, is process driven. So this is more on the how. It's process driven, focus on deciding how to do things right. Also changing rules, is structured, is more of a manager. So the DNA, again, the DNA of how leader, I think this can be a hybrid. The DNA of a how leader is a hybrid. The hybrid of a what leader and also a why leader. So he's in between. But now the why leader, this is a leader who has now the DNA of a leader. He might have the DNA of a manager, but the dominant DNA is the DNA of a leader. Okay. Now, what are the characteristics or the qualities of this why leader? One is visionary, because he's trying to ask the why question many times. He's trying to look at the issue of purpose quite often. He's trying to look at where he's leading the organization to. So those questions are more dominant. So he's visionary, he's proactive, not reactive. He's visioning. He focuses on issues of purpose. He focuses on issues of value, principles, and culture. He's transformative. He's also focused on issues of doing things right. This is the leader who creates the rules or leads in creating the rules. He can also be disruptive. These are leaders who are, they want to see change. They want to see change. Sometimes if you are around a why leader, if you are close to a why leader, you might feel a little bit uncomfortable because they don't stay in one place for long. Yeah, they don't stay in one place for long. Before you settle, they are already thinking on how can we restructure this. So they are more on the move. Yeah, but they are very good in terms of leading us to the desired future, taking us to, sometimes they disrupt our comfort zone, unlike a manager who may want to create that comfort zone. So this why leader tends to, they tend to keep us on the move. They are good because they always tend to keep us moving. So they are more of a leader. The DNA of a why leader is purely a why leader or a leader. He might have a little bit of management DNA, but he's really focused on a leader. So these are the 3 levels of leadership based on the learning loops, the 3 learning loops. So the single loop learning, The single loop learner focuses on what to learn. The double loop learner focuses on how to learn. How do I become a better learner? The triple loop learner focuses on why. Why is this important to me? What else can I pick from this? So, and from this, we are able to get the three levels of leadership. So basically, this gives us a summary of lesson 5 of the 3 learning loops. And it's important that we take some time just to evaluate ourselves in terms of our learning loops or our learning style, and also the category or the level of leadership. Where are you as a person? And how do we enhance probably towards the triple loop learner? Because that is sort of the pinnacle of leadership. So which category of learning loop do you fit best? And how do we continuously improve? So I'll share this through the link so that we can be able to examine ourselves and probably look at how we can keep our curve of learning continuous. Remember, the key word is learning how to learn. Learning how to learn. That is the apex of a Y leader. A Y leader is always learning how to learn. They never reach the apex of learning. They're always getting new styles and new ways of doing things. So lesson 5, basically that is the highlight. And maybe I'll just want to pause here for 2-3 minutes just to allow us to internalize what we have shared tonight. As I also welcome Marion on board. I think George still has a challenge with the audio. So we'll be able to keep in touch with him to see if we can help him sort out that issue. Otherwise, let me pause here and just allow for a reaction, maybe 1 or 2 reactions. We might not go to the breakout sessions because we are not many. So we can spend 1 or 2 minutes just to get the reaction on how is this probably relevant to us, and in what scenario can we probably apply what we are picking tonight. And since we started with Beldina, I'll want to welcome Beldina first, just to share a comment, and then I'll also invite Marion to share a comment.
Okay, thanks. For me, I think what I'm learning in today's class is about problem solving, basically. That's what I'm getting. Because like when you're talking about the way we started with the triangles and how many they are, and then we've gone to the fishbone, where we are looking at this fishbone and how you can try to get to the root cause of the problem, like still the perspectives, looking at what is it that may have caused that problem and how do you arrive at a solution. And then the same thing with the five whys, that you need to ask why 5 times so that you can get to know what exactly happened. That if somebody did something, why did they do it? And then you still keep going on until you get to the root cause. And then also about the learning loops. And I'm just wondering, can you exhibit all the 3 at once? Or is it that when you have one, you don't have the other? That would be my question. So for example, if I have, I'm on the single loop, does it mean that I don't have the triple loop there, or are they interchangeable, or do they happen concurrently? So that's what I'm trying to just figure out, whether you must have one at a time or you can have the 3 at once. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Beldina. Yeah, and later on, we'll be looking at the situational leadership. And situational leadership depends with the scenario, where actually there are concepts. There are concepts that gives different views. But situational leadership tends to focus on a leader adapting to the situation. So you look at what is the situation and what can work within this particular situation. But in terms of the 3 learning loops, the person who is at Y might have graduated from the how. So this is a person that can be able to combine the 3 aspects. But the person who is at what level needs to probably graduate slowly until he's able to get to the Y. And that's why we said a leader can also make a good a good manager, because this is someone that has flowed through, probably through all the levels. So he can be a what person, he can be a how person, and he can even have a hybrid of all these learning loops. So they can work together, but we always try to see, are we at the apex, so that I can be able to apply all of them comfortably, again with knowledge. So I think that question is important, just to be able to put all this into context. So you can manifest all of them at the same time.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, thank you too. Marion, good evening, Marion. Probably you can unmute and just say hello to the team. And probably at whatever point you got into the class, you can share maybe what you have been able to pick. Hello, Marion. Your sound seems to be a little bit low.
Oh, is that better?
A little bit better.
Okay. I was just listening. I just jumped in a little late.
Mm.
And I got to learn about the why, the how, and the what type of leader. And I've just heard you saying that you can manage to be the three of them.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you become effective with the three of them?
Yeah, thank you, Marion. Good to see you. Good to see your face. Yeah, so if you look at the graduation from the what, actually the first level is more of a person who is more inclined to a manager. And if you have worked under a typical manager, you know how a typical manager operates. There is no much room for engagement. And this is someone, probably you are going through a very, very difficult issue, but you may not have time to be able to bring everything on the table so that you can really get to the root cause and see how to assist you. So this is the first level, what we are calling the what leader. Yes, we are calling this person a leader because he might have some qualities of leadership, but the dominant qualities that this person will have are qualities of a manager. And if we look at the characteristics of a what leader, we realize that they are more of reactionary. They are more of task-driven. It's about results. Are we getting the results? So the measurement is the results. We don't go beyond that. So if you're not meeting the targets, then an action needs to be done. There is no much room for what are the causes? Why are we not getting the results? How can we improve? So those issues will come when we graduate to the second level. And the second level is the double loop learner. The double loop learner has graduated just from the what, or just from probably the results or from the task. He's also trying to ask how, the question of how. Okay, this is what we are getting. How can we improve in these results? How can we make these results better? So you see, now we are getting into the language of a leader in a way. But before at the single loop learning, we are a bit closed. So the how, now we are looking at the processes. And above that, now we have the triple loop learner. The triple loop learner, the key word is the why. So why are we getting this kind of results? Is it that the process, we're having a challenge with our processes? Is it that we need to restructure some things in our, how we are doing things? So this is now the true language of a leader, because a leader is important when it comes to the issues of why, the question of why. That is where now the leader sits in or sits at. Why do we do things in this particular manner. So you see you see the levels and how we are graduating from one level to the other. And the characteristics at the Y, these are the people that are visionary. These are people that are adaptive. These are people who can also give you an ear, and they're able to get to the root cause of the issue. And as I said, it's possible to manifest all of them, but it's very hard for a what person or a what leader to manifest what is coming in, what a Y leader is manifesting, and unless this person has graduated across board. And the challenge we are having now in most organizations is that we tend to have probably more of managers and less of leaders. This is affecting, especially when you're looking at the long-term, the future of that organization. We need people who are able to look 20 years, 30 years, or 50 years to come and start now aligning the organization towards the long-term vision. That is now the space of the Y leader, because this is the visionary person in the organization. So I believe maybe when we get into lesson 6 and we look at the leaders vis-a-vis managers, we'll revisit this and also try to see how we're able to connect these two issues. Again, the Y leader will deal with issues differently from how a what leader will deal with a particular issue. So there will always be some differences in how they address issues and how probably they deal with challenges. So let's continue unpacking this, but thank you for bringing that on. Let me move on to, is that clear, Marion?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, now we can hear you very well.
Okay, thank you. I have changed my position.
Good. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Let me try if we can hear George. Good evening. George had a challenge with the audio. Probably is not yet sorted. We'll see if we can be able to sort out. Now, I requested you to have a paper, a piece of paper. And at this point, we'll also request if you can have your video on as we are undertaking this simple activity before we get into the other session. So let's get our piece of paper. Just a plain one. It can be A4 or any other size. And then probably we can also have our videos on if it's possible where you are. Okay, so I will require you use your two hands. So if you're able to position your phone, or if you're using a laptop, that is okay. But if you're using your phone, if you can position it somewhere so that you set free your hands, that will be good. Okay, so is your paper ready? Let's see your papers. The plain paper. The plain paper. Okay, thank you, Beldina. Thank you. Now, we'll do this exercise while our eyes are closed. So I'll request we close our eyes. And then with our eyes closed, let's fold the paper in half. Okay. And then with our papers folded in half, on the top side, top right, cut a piece of paper. On the top right, cut a piece of paper. Okay. Then fold the paper again in half. And then now on the top left, cut a small piece of paper. Okay, we are doing well. You can trust me. Then let's fold the paper again in half. I know the paper might be becoming thicker now. Now this time on the bottom left, let's cut a small piece of paper. Okay, again, let's fold again in half. I know now it's a bit thicker. Let's fold in half. And then on the bottom right, let's cut a small piece of paper. Bottom right, cut a piece of paper. Good, so let's unfold the paper. Let's unfold the paper and open our eyes. Ideally, we should have identical. We can display our paper and see, are they identical? Especially Beldina, what you have and what Marion has. Do they look similar? Let's display on the camera, we see. Wow. I think for Marion, I don't see any hole inside. Let me see for Beldina. Wow, actually they look similar in a way. Yeah, they look similar in a way. There are times we really get something very different from. Oh, okay. So you ended up having two pieces, Marion. Maybe you can unmute, Marion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I almost got two pieces.
Okay.
Yes.
How about Beldina?
For me, I have just one piece, but I'm realizing that there are some edges that are cut and others are still having a smooth edge. I did not touch them.
Yeah, and in a physical scenario, we normally get very, very different results until we ask ourselves, did we have same instructions? Did we have, and sometimes we normally give A4 papers so that we neutralize any issue of the papers were different sizes and all that. But even with A4, with all the instructions, we still end up having different results. And the question is always, why are we having different? You see, we are getting to the question of the why. Why are we having different results? If the instructions are the same, the paper is the same size, but the end result is different. So that always becomes the point of discussions. Why are we getting different results? If the paper is the same, the instructions are the same, but the results are different. What do you think could be the probably the possible scenario, or the possible answer to that?
My guess would be that, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Probably Marion, you can go first, and then Beldina.
Okay, mine is following different directions once you've been given instruction. That could be the possibility. Yeah. Like you've been told to fold right, you fold left, you are told to cut right, you cut left, and like that.
True. Very true. Beldina?
Yes, I think maybe the instruction, for me, it was not specifying whether I could turn the page or what, like after I fold. So do I maintain it like that, or can I twist it in my hands, So that I think can also give different shapes to the paper.
True. And again, you realize there is no two-way conversation between you and me. So you're not able to ask questions. So and I'm sure when I said fold paper in half, probably you might really have wanted to ask, do I fold portrait, landscape? I'm sure there's some, you try to think about that and maybe even expected some more detail in terms of how to fold it. So there was no two-way communication. Two, you realize, as you are saying, someone might have folded in portrait, another person in landscape. So even the folding is different. I remember on Tuesday, when we said cut a piece, the person remained with a small piece. So he continued folding the small piece and cutting the small piece. He actually put the big piece aside and he continued working with a small piece until at some point he didn't have anything because he had cut the small piece until it was done. And that was very interesting. So I think for communication, this is important. It's very important because it opens a conversation. Are we having a conversation? And in many cases, and even in many organizations, I think this is one of the gaps that we are having. We are missing out on the conversation where we, especially if we are at what level of leadership, then we don't really create space for a conversation. And we might also be missing out very, very good ideas, very bright ideas from our teams. So I think we'll also revisit that later on. We'll be talking about effective communication. But for today, we just wanted to ease it up and look at one or two things that we can borrow from that for tonight's discussion. So I think we'll just proceed to lesson 5, lesson 6, sorry. It's a build up to what we have already discussed. I see George has really tried, but the systems have really failed him tonight. He's very determined to join this session. Now, leaders vis-a-vis managers. This will be very easy because already we have done the summary. So I think it will just be an overview of what we have gone through in the book review. I don't know if you have seen this, Beldina. Have you seen this image going around on social media?
No, I've not seen it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this I picked this from social media, and you look at that rat, and you take a guess at what will happen next to this rat or to this mice. What will happen next?
I think it will get to the bottom of the jar.
You are right. You are right. With the time, it will get to the bottom of the jar. And now when it's down there, again, something else might have happened to the rat. So again, if we take another guess, what do we think again happens when now the rat is at that level in the tin?
Maybe I'm thinking maybe it has grown fat. It might not be able to get out because of everything it has consumed.
Yeah, I like that perspective. I think it has never come up. It has grown fat. Very true. And I think this one for leadership, I don't know what, if you look at it from a leadership perspective, what you might see from this kind of a scenario. If you are a leader and you've called your team, you've showed them this, you've showed them this, I don't know which message maybe you might pick from this example, from this case. Before I share one or two scenarios, I don't know for you what you might pick from this. Now relating to leadership. Yeah, Beldina, I don't know if you are still able to hear me well.
Yes, I'm hearing you well. I'm just trying to figure out from leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. We can connect. Whatever maybe you might think through with what we have here. I think for one is the issue of think with the end in mind. So yes, I'm here today, and this is what I'm doing. But what will be the end? Just as you have said, if the rat continued eating, it probably grew fat and then it was trapped. So I'm trying to think with the end in mind, the bigger picture thinking. Sometimes be aware of short-term pleasures that can lead to long-term traps, because I think it was a pleasure. It didn't really have to work hard. The food was here and it was enjoying the food. But this enjoyment was also leading to something else. Instant gratification versus delayed gratification. Just enjoying for now, but again, I need to think in terms of the long term. Maybe there are some things that I can delay today and I'll be able to get them later, but in a better way or in a more richer way. All you can see is not all there is. The critical thinking is important. Think beyond self. Healthy relationships are key. If this rat had called other rats, now it could not be in a danger. Probably it could get some help on how to come out. But now, since it's the only one, it's trapped and maybe there's no way it can be able to come out and no one to assist. So healthy relationships, healthy networks are important. And then think how to manage risks, or what measures are important in managing risks. So these are just some of the issues that we can pick from that scenario. I don't know if there is anything else that you feel we can add to this.
Yeah, you know, I was wondering about the leadership, because I was seeing it was a lone rat. So, and from my perspective, I'm thinking when you're leading, there must be somebody else. So that's why I was finding it a little bit of a challenge, thinking of leadership and a lone rat, like a rat that is alone.
True.
So I would say, I think number 5, they're thinking beyond self, whereby maybe the rat should have called other rats so that it's not alone there, and they can share that food that was there in the jar.
It is true. So think beyond self and also think about healthy relationships. And if this was a manager and a leader, both of them will look at the issues again differently, and they will come up with different scenarios. Now, for manager vis-a-vis leaders, both of them are important. Both of them are very, very important, because there are scenarios and there are situations, or there are times that we need a manager to take us to the next level, or to handle some particular issues. So we appreciate the two, and they're very important. But again, we're saying if we end up having more of one, we also try to think on how do we create a balance. So if you look at this picture here, for a leader, the leader is always close to the people, and they work together to be able to deal with the work. But somehow for a manager, and this is what we are talking about, results, they might focus more, they might tend to focus more on the work, and then people will come later. So the work might come in between, but a leader will want to be close to the people so that together they're able to work together or handle the work together. So there are different scenarios, and this can be one of the scenarios. And Kathy Austin said, managers light a fire under people, but leaders light a fire in people. We'll see this one later on, because the heart of a leader is in the heart of the people. So we try to motivate and inspire the people. That's basically what we are saying, lighting the fire in people. We don't do that without or outside, creating scenarios that are able to push people, but we create scenarios in them that is able to push them ahead. Stephen Covey said, management works on the system, management works in the system, leadership works on the system. The leadership works generally, how do we improve the system? But for management, it's how do we fit into the system? How do we work within the system? So one creates a system, the other one works in the system. So let's look at a few differences. So we are saying these are distinct but complementary. They complement each other. Remember, the why leader is good, but the why leader also needs some structure, needs someone who is able to listen to what the why leader is saying and be able to implement or run with that and see how to now bring it to the real scenario. I think the best example I can share is someone like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was more of a revolutionary leader in a way. And I remember at some point from the documentaries, he was fired from the company because they could not be able to relate or converge. His ideas and the managers, the ideas could not converge well because he was a wise leader. He was thinking very, very far away. But the managers were thinking about the bottom line. Are we making profits? Is this feasible? And I think that brought some issues, some conflict in terms of the how the two teams were thinking. So that balance is important so that as you think far, someone is able to interpret, create the systems, and be able to manage also the day-to-day operations. That's why we are saying they complement each other. So the challenge is how do we create strong leadership and also strong management to be able to complement each other. They deal with issues of communication, problem solving, they handle decision making, though at different levels. So a manager sees things as they are now. They seem to be more on the present, but a leader somehow tends to be more into the future. How do we prepare for the future and how do we align ourselves to the future? So management will focus more on the issues of probably day-to-day planning, organizing, staffing, coordinating, and also controlling issues or controlling operations. Leadership will look at how do we influence, and this is why that quote talked about managers lighting a fire around people, leaders lighting a fire in people. So how do we influence? How do we motivate? How do we inspire? How do we mentor? It's about looking at the what you're doing in the hearts of people as a leader. So management to be on the day-to-day operations, focusing on the goals and also achieving the objectives. Leadership goes a little bit further to looking at the strategy, looking at the vision, looking at how to influence and inspire people. It also looks at how do we build trust as a team, how do we lead people to a shared vision, how do we empower the people, while the manager is looking probably on the issues of how do we create systems that are able to control the day-to-day operations. So manager again will focus on execution, the tasks, and they can rely somehow on positional authority, while the leader will rely on interpersonal influence to be able to lead the people. So managers will administer, leaders will tend to be more of open-minded so that they can be innovative, they can create, they focus on people as we said, they are more long-range view or perspective, and they want to know, are we doing things, are we doing the right things? Not just in the right way, but is what we are doing the right thing? So manager, administer, replicate, look at the system, work in the system. They can tend to be short range and also status quo. They can maintain status quo, especially creating the stability, which is important. But again, now in terms of growth, we require a system that also probably also challenges our status quo so that we are gradually able to continue growing. So a few other examples on these two charts. So we see leading and we see managing. And we're saying leading, look at vision and strategy, look at influence and inspiration. We look at being proactive. For managing, policies and procedures comes in handy. Managing work, they can be risk averse, while when it comes to issues of leadership, they take risks. Again, we look at, for management, focus more on the task. Also, we see probably the issue of authority. They can be authoritarian, or they adopt the authoritarian style. Yeah, so a leader will not fear change, will embrace change. We'll also look at issues of personal charisma, using personal charisma. Managers, as we said, we look at how do we create stability, how do we get the results, which is important for the operations of the day-to-day operations. So, and many other examples that we can see on these charts here, just to give us a feel of these two functions, the function of a leader and the function of a manager. And as we said, they are both very important. But again, if we tend to have more, especially more of managers, we might lose sight of the future. So we try to see, how do we populate? And I think this is what really inspired this masterclass. How do we populate or increase the numbers of leaders within our organization, just through creating some awareness, self-awareness, and also looking at probably challenging ourselves to be able to see where we are and how we can be able to graduate to and get into the DNA of a leader. So I guess this is just an eye-opener, and we'll take some time just to go through the challenge, the leadership challenge, to be able to identify some of the qualities that we can commit to improve, both as a manager and as a leader. Yeah, as a manager and as a leader, and as we also think about the learning loops. So how do we bring a convergence into this? Remembering that when we are talking about leadership, the apex is the why leader, the visionary leader, the strategic leader, the leader that is ready to be able to question how we do things, and also probably be able to bring new structures that are able to align the organization to the anticipated future. So this was just just to paint a picture. I hope being able just to have a picture of these two scenarios. And as we look at this, also to think of ourselves, where are we? And how do we continue to better our leadership so that we end up having more of leaders within our spaces of leadership, so that we are also able to look at the future and secure the future of our organization, and also the future of those who are coming after us. So I'll pause there for tonight. I'll pause there, and I hope, Beldina, we've been able to pick a few. I think our colleagues, they encountered some challenges, but we'll share this link so that they can be able to listen through. So I don't know if there is any comment from your end, Beldina, as we bring this to a close.
Yes, I think today I've learned a lot, quite a lot. You know, like it's been some hours of packed information.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that there's so much that you can learn about leadership, and in terms of the learning, in terms of the problem solving, in terms of the leadership and management, and how you can balance that. And I think for me, I'm challenged in the sense that I really need to look at the perspectives. I think for me, that is just what has stood out for me today, that I need to know that there are different perspectives. There's not one perspective in which you can look at something. You must always figure out, like, how are people looking at this thing, and why are they doing whatever they're doing? Like the fishbone, you know, the way you're trying to figure out what exactly is making this person do whatever they're doing. So for me, I think it helps me in the sense that I can understand, I can attempt to understand why people do what they do. Because as you said, the fishbone, it was looking at this person who's coming late, and you're looking from it from all these angles. Is it because of other people? Is it because of the machines? So I think for me, it has really been an eye opener. And then just learning that we need to get to that. I need to get to that point of learning how to learn. And then the challenge, like even what was in the personal, the self-evaluation, what I need to improve on, mentorship. I think even like for the rat, this rat that was eating alone, I think for me, for mentorship, I've not done quite a bit. So I am challenged in that area.
Wow.
And yes, I will work on that. I pray that God helps me to work on that. Thank you.
Wow, I think I'll add that. You'll allow me to add the issue of mentorship to the lessons. I think that is fantastic. That should have mentored someone.
Yes, it should not have been alone in that jar. Yeah, true.
And you see, that's why you find very good ventures failing, and someone has invested your entire life, and then you realize, wow, you've worked very hard, but whatever you worked for, there's no one to take care of. I like that. I'll add that. So thank you. I think those comments are really handy. Really appreciate them.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just thank you for making the class really interactive and taking charge of representing the rest, even those who came on and then they encountered some challenges. I'll try and send this link almost immediately so that those who did not manage to join us tonight, they're not left behind, and they're able to catch on so that next week will be together. So thank you, and wish you a blessed night.
Thank you too. I've really learned a lot. Thanks for your time and your teaching also, and have a blessed night too.
Asante sana. We can end with the words of grace. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Amen. Have a blessed night.
Thank you. You too have a blessed one.
Asante.